Good afternoon and welcome to this month's Florida Brokers Roundtable with your broker, Robert Milligan. But before I hand off the spotlight, allow me to highlight a few special elements we have here at Allison James Estates and Homes. First, being our nationwide coaching program. This program caters to agents of all levels of production. If you want to be coached by a top producing agent, understand your weaknesses and how to overcome them while increasing your social media and marketing knowledge, this program is for you. The next two highlights I want to share with you are the Real Estate News and Broadcast Tuesday and Fun Facts Friday. Both are live on Facebook at 10 a.m. PST, 1 p.m. EST. So good afternoon, and with that being said, I'd like to introduce to you your broker, Robert. And Robert, there you go. Have at it.
Okay, thank you, Tracy, and thank you for everybody that's joining in to hopefully get a little bit of good information and just create a conversation around our plans for 2018. And if you're like most of us here, we've been really excited to get started and making our goals and just planning our progress in our careers. And we've definitely already been off to a great start. So for the month of January in the state of Florida, we paid well over $1 million in commission income. So a lot of you are participating in that in a big way, which is fantastic and exciting. So congratulations if January was a great month for you. And if January wasn't so great, that's okay too, because, January's over and, we're not looking back to January anymore. We're just looking forward to February. And a mentor of mine shared that something always stuck with me, that, you'll never go broker quicker than celebrating past success. So if you had a great month in January, that's awesome, but it doesn't matter anymore because it's over. If you had a terrible month in January, so what? Doesn't matter anymore. It's over. All that we have to do now is look forward to February and put in our best effort. Just know that you're doing everything you can to do the best that you can do, whatever level of the game that you're at. So for me, I always just like to make sure that I'm making progress. And I think that real estate is one of the type of businesses that people just get a little bit silly about taking their business brain off for whatever reason and putting on blinders, and you're getting solicited from 100 different third-party services that all try to convince you that you really need their $29.95 per month service, and then only with that you'll be successful. And it's just easy to get distracted in this business and not know exactly what to do, especially if you're newer to the industry. And we have some newer people that are joining my team, and I've been spending a little bit of time coaching and training them, getting them up and started, and with our mentoring program. And so I'll just kind of talk today as if you're newer to the industry and just give you some general entrepreneurial lessons in the way that I think about things. But I think that, if we made $1 million in commission last month, I mean, that as an entrepreneur is a direct reflection of the value that you bring to the marketplace. Because, I promise you in any industry, and especially in real estate, as competitive as it is, you're not going to get paid any more than what you're worth. Maybe in the short term you get lucky here and there, but over the long term, if you're a realtor that's earned a lot of money, that's a direct reflection of the value that you bring to the marketplace. So clearly, you are providing people with something that they value and something that they need. And a mindset, because I do believe that in sales in general, especially in real estate where, customers have a lot of options when it comes to choosing a realtor, mindset is critical. And there's another saying that I love, and for some of you this will be a refresher because I'm kind of a simple person and I just kind of rehash the same things over and over. But these are truths that have really stuck with me that I've imprinted on my memory that I always fall back on. But a mentor told me once that winners win on a muddy field, losers lose in the best condition. And that's a great analogy, especially since we just had a Super Bowl yesterday evening that some of you may be happy or not so happy about the outcome. But they were in an indoor stadium, so they had a perfect field. But nevertheless, sometimes the games are outside, sometimes there's snow, rain, sleet, hail, whatever's going on. Winners win on a muddy field, and losers lose in the best conditions. And so, there's been a lot of times that in this business, you're going to have buyers that are untruthful to you. They're going to, not be authentic in their communications, and you find out that they did something with somebody else without telling you. You're just going to have a lot of crummy situations, and you're going to lose listings, and you're going to have unethical agents at times that you're competing against. And I think it's important as far as an entrepreneurial mindset to know that it's just not fair. It's not supposed to be fair. Money is never fair, and it doesn't care if you look right. It doesn't care if you sound right. doesn't care how talented you are. The only thing that money really cares about, it's kind of like a river that's flowing downstream, and you have the opportunity to dig out little trenches that come out from that stream, and money's going to flow to whatever trenches that you dig out, which is essentially how you create value. So, I mean, money's going to reward your energy, your effort, and the value that you bring to the marketplace. So I think that as you're doing that and you're building your mindset, you have to set a minimum standard for what you're worth. And I mean, that has to be a real belief and a real conviction of what you're worth and what your minimum standard is, because I've seen it over and over again. Talented people come and work with us, and they just haven't defined what that standard is. They want to be successful, but they don't know exactly what that equates to on a financial capacity. And if you don't know what your minimum standard is, you're not going to get very much. And a great way that I like to think of that is sometimes you see, you know, people, and there's nothing wrong with this situation. We're all in different economic backgrounds and places, and people can grow and change. But, you know, sometimes you see people that, you know, have a lower standard, and you know, maybe they've had some circumstances in life that they're always living relatively paycheck to paycheck. And again, I don't look down at that. You know, we all have probably been there at some point, and you know, we come from different economic places. But it's interesting that if there's some unforeseen circumstance pops up in their life, and you know, they have a family member who becomes very sick and has to go to the hospital, or you know, or perhaps maybe they have a costly car repair, but they have to have a car. You know, suddenly, even though their standard is low, they figure out the way to have the resources, or at least resourcefulness, to figure out how to get that hospital paid for their relative, or how to get their car repaired so that they have a way to get to work, because we all have a minimum standard. And you know, sometimes whenever a surprise comes our way, we figure out how to always reach that standard. So it's the same thing with you know, being an entrepreneur. You have to know what your minimum standard is in advance. And affluent people have minimum standards as well. They just have different standards. So, you know, an affluent person might say, I want to live my life in a way that it allows me to contribute monetarily to charities that are important to me, might afford me a certain kind of a lifestyle, or an income range that a certain type of lifestyle is possible. But nevertheless, it's still a minimum standard. And as human beings, we almost always keep going back to whatever that minimum standard is. And you just have to, you know, find that, figure that out for yourself, and commit to it. And then just decide, draw a line in the sand. This is my standard, and I'm never going back to living below that standard again. And you know, usually, as I've observed in life, usually that comes from a place of adversity. And I think that, you know, as an entrepreneur, this is definitely not the path of least resistance. This is a difficult road. This is the path of most resistance sometimes. And you know, so sometimes it takes a little bit of life beating you up, and you know, you get to a place that you're just, you know, deciding that you're not going to take anything less than X, whatever X is, because you're sick and tired of it, you're fed up, and you just say, that's it, I'm done. This is who I am. This is my standard, and that's where I'm gonna live my life. And so, you know, if wherever you're at in your journey here, and we all are on a journey, hopefully maybe that's something that resonates with you. But I do think that a lot of times in the real estate market, you know, people overthink it, and it's a really simple concept. And another great little nugget that I share over and over again is, as an entrepreneur, don't try to sell what people aren't buying. And what I mean specifically as that relates to real estate is, you know, in our market, we have several different niches. We have golf course communities, we have downtown condos, we have waterfront property, we have pretty, you know, standard regular properties, we have very luxury properties, and a lot of realtors, and I do think it's smart to have a niche, but a lot of realtors decide in advance, I like this type of property, therefore I will be that type of a realtor. And, you know, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with that, maybe especially over the long term, but there's definitely cycles where, for instance, in our market right now, golf course properties just aren't doing so well. They're not really selling very well at all, to be perfectly honest, unless they're priced very, very aggressively. And downtown condos and waterfront properties actually happen to be selling very well at the moment. So, you know, I think if you're newer to the industry and you haven't really defined what it is that you like to do and what market that you serve, you know, don't try to sell what people aren't buying. I think it would be not a phenomenal idea to try to specialize in golf course communities right now when they're so difficult to sell. You know, it's costly, and you know, and it takes a lot of time and energy to get a listing. And in that type of a community, you know, it just might not be your best effort to get a listing in a community that's going to be a challenge to sell. So don't overthink it. It is just simply a market, and we are here to fill orders. And again, going back to all the third parties and the services that are all trying to sell you different things and make you feel like you just need this one service, and for the low cost of $29.95 per month, you too will be successful in real estate. You gotta not be distracted by all that stuff. It's easy to chase squirrels in the real estate business. And if you think about it, we are just here to fill orders. We're here to help people buy what they're looking for, help them sell what they're looking for. And we can do that with competency, we can do that with confidence, we can do that with good leadership, or we can't. And so it's your job to position yourself in a way that you are adding value to the marketplace in a unique way that is different than the other realtors in your marketplace. And in our local association, there's 7,200 other realtors who, for argument's sake, offer a pretty similar service to what we all do. But they might not be showing up with the same level of intensity. They might not be demonstrating the same amount of leadership. And aside from filling orders, customers are hiring us for two things, and it's basically filling orders and leadership, because customers don't want you to just be an order taker for them. Yes, we're here to fill their order, but they want your advice, they want your expertise, and they want your leadership whenever it's not comfortable for them to make a decision to buy, or it's not comfortable for them to make a decision to sell. They want somebody with a professional background and knowledge and leadership to be able to tell them, you should buy this house at this price, and you should do it now, otherwise somebody's going to eat your lunch and they're going to buy it out from underneath of you. Or on the flip side, you should take this price and sell because of the facts and reasonings that you've lined up. So they're hiring you for two things basically, which is to fill the order and for your leadership. So those are some of the basic principles of mindset as you're going out into the rest of the 2018 year. And it's pretty simple to deconstruct how much money that you want to make in this business. And you can create an activity chart. I call it a rhythm register that I'll talk about in a minute, but deconstruct how much money that you want to make, because there's a lot of data available in the real estate market, which is fantastic for us. We can see a lot of times what our competitors are doing. We can see exactly what their average price of their average sale is. We can see how many sales that they make on average in any given year. And we can see that if they've had good years or bad years in the past. There's a lot of data that we can follow the success that leaves clues for us. We can also know what the average sale price in our market area is. And so it's easy to deconstruct how much money do you want to make, and then divide that by the average price of each sale in your community, figure out how many sales per year, break it down how many sales per month, how many sales per week, and just stick to that chart or that rhythm register and reinforce those activities with being on a schedule with that. And for the rhythm register, it's pretty simple. I've worked from one for quite a few years now, and I'd be perfectly happy to share my own just to show you kind of an example of the way that I've structured it. But it's really, really simple, where it's basically a chart with boxes, just your typical grid, where I line up on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, line up the specific activities, and each of us have different activities for different projects that we're working on. But I just black out the days on the chart that I'm not doing a particular activity and leave open the days that I am, and then make a list that just goes down where, it can be cold calling expired and withdrawn listings. It can be prospecting for sale by owners. It can be a certain number of open houses I'm doing per week, or whatever the activities that you've identified or the things that resonate most with you that you think is going to be most effective in your business. Just fill in a predefined chart of what things that you must do to move your business forward. And, and you just learn over time, and we can help coach with this kind of stuff. But, you generally need to talk to 10 people to book 3 appointments. You generally, out of 3 appointments, will have, 1 customer that results in a sale. So you can just deconstruct all of these numbers into a rhythm register that's going to end up landing you into the income quotient that you're looking to achieve. So if anybody wants more information about the rhythm register or would like me to share an example, I'd be happy to do that with you. And again, maybe talking about specific things that you can do, because I wanted to make sure we're hitting the mindset for the year as we go in advance. Want to make sure that we're talking about some tools such as the rhythm register to do that and to commit. And also just talk about, maybe some specific things that you can do. And there's a lot of fancy things that you can do. I've tried all the fancy stuff, and I observe agents that are newer coming into the business with more energy than I've got, to be honest. They try a lot of fancy stuff. For me, I really enjoy just the basic real estate 101 kind of stuff. And, we do a lot of online things, and it's good to have that out there, and it's good to be present on all the social media and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you need to have physical interaction with people that need your services. And so we do spend a lot of money on Zillow, and when we do attract a lot of customers that way. But as a newer agent, the game plan as I see it, let's keep this simple, because if you either have 3 customers that you're working with that have an urgent need. If you're newer in this business, I think that 3 buyers is most ideal, because buyers are going to result in a payday usually more quickly than a seller will, and I think buyers generally require a little bit less sophistication. Just you need to have a little bit more background knowledge with sellers. But if you just keep this as simple as you can possibly keep it, you either have 3 buyers with an urgent need, or you don't. And I cannot overemphasize the word urgent, because it's easy to have 20 buyers in your database and none of them have a particularly urgent need. Well, at the end of the month, end of 2 months, you're not likely to have a customer that results in a payday, versus specifically looking for people that have an urgent need to buy houses. And I feel like if you have buyers with an urgent need, you can hardly service more than 3 of them properly, because in our market, at least, it's a very efficient market. And whenever good listings come up, I mean, you have to be available to basically stop everything that you're doing and drop it and run and jump and go get them that deal. So basically, if you have 3 buyers with an urgent need, you go fill those orders. And if you don't have 3 buyers with an urgent need, then put all of your energy into getting those buyers. And you can advertise on the online portals like Zillow. If you've not done that before, generally that works out to about $150 per lead. And there's a lot of steps in between, you acquiring the lead and actually closing the deal. So instead of that, if I were brand new, I would just find somebody in your market, and we have a lot of coverage at Allison James and a lot of agents that are willing to do this. But, if you don't have any listings, find an agent that has a listing that you'd like to offer to hold an open house at. And for me, the whole point of an online lead is basically to do and say as little as possible to get them to agree to meeting with you face to face in person, so that you can decide if you're able to build some rapport and help them out or not. Obviously it's unfortunate if you spend $150 for that lead and then you meet in person face to face, and for whatever reason they don't like you, you don't like them. And that's another lesson that I've learned over time, is that some will, some won't, so what next? You'll drive yourself crazy wondering why they didn't choose you, if they didn't like you, if it was the wrong outfit, if you said the wrong thing. Like, don't second guess yourself. Some will, some won't, so what next? And you literally cannot say the right thing to the wrong person. You cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. So, I mean, there's just going to be connections that you make that just work, and there's just going to be other encounters that you have that just don't work. And it's not because you did anything wrong. It's just because that's just the way we are. We're all people. So if I were a newer agent, and this is what I've coached a lot of our agents in our mentorship program and my team to do, is just find an open house spot that resonates with you, a place that you're confident in, that you feel like would get a lot of traffic, and just live there literally 7 days a week if it's possible at that open house. And we have some vacant listings that is possible, and so just live at the open house weekdays, whatever it takes, until you have 3 urgent buyers that you didn't have to spend $150 to find out if they click with you or not. They're going to walk in the house, they're either going to like you or not. You've got those 3 people now. Now you just got to fill the orders, and that's all that there really is to this business. And eventually you can start listing, and again, look for sellers with an urgent need to sell, and I'll share a tip how I do that. But just make sure you got your buyers lined up, fill the orders. Once the orders are filled, then get the buyers, and repeat. And I recommend open houses personally as my favorite way to connect with buyers, just to bypass all the unnecessary steps and figure out if there's a way to have some potential to do some business. With sellers, we do prospect for sale by owners, and they have on Zillow the for sale by owners, the Make Me Moves. There's also a system that we use called Vulcan 7, where it's an expired and a FSBO data aggregator service that you can email and call people and just basically ask them if they're still interested in selling their house after it's expired. And one thing that's a little bit creative, and it's a good way to get listings, is to either become an investor or work with one. So over the years, I've made lots of offers, and there's nothing fundamentally wrong, as long as you're completely open and in full disclosure about it, with making an offer and simultaneously offering to list the house to give customers a choice. And I've done that quite a bit over the years, where I'll just let people know that you've got this house that's worth about $200,000 and it needs a lot of repairs, and it could have a market value that's greater than that. I'm willing today, I could pay $180,000 for it cash, or with proper marketing. And if you're willing to spend a little bit of money to fix things up here and there, we could market it for 90 days and probably get you $215,000 for it, and give them a choice. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever, because again, you're there to create solutions. You're there to bring value to the marketplace. And sometimes the right answer might be for them to sell it to you or sell it to an investor that you're working with. Sometimes the right answer may be for them to do a little bit of repair and hold out a little time and try to get top market dollar on their own. So that's what I mean about just being resourceful, creating value for the marketplace. And again, we're doing that in a big way right now. We made collectively with our Florida agents, over $1 million in commission last month. So clearly there's a lot of agents who are on their game that figured this out. There was quite a few extremely luxury multi-million-dollar transactions last month. And so I'm proud of the agents that were involved in those. And again, if you had a great month last month, then, that's fantastic. I'm happy for you, but it doesn't matter anymore. It's February. If you had a terrible month last month, I'm sorry to hear that, but it doesn't matter. It's time to now look towards the future and just put on your business brain. Don't let all the silliness distract you. Fill orders, find your 3 buyers with an urgent need, find your sellers with an urgent need. And my little clue that I thought I'd leave for sellers with an urgent need. A lot of times whenever I'm talking to a seller, one of my favorite questions that I usually work into the conversation is, if I were to able to bring you a cash offer today that was just a touch below market value, would you be open to accepting that offer? And that's a great question that, is not off-putting, and it'll let you know what their motivation is. They'll either say, well, yeah, that'd be fantastic. We just want to make this house go away. And, if you could bring us a good offer that was just a touch below market value, yeah, I would take it, would love to move on with their lives. Other times they'll say, no, absolutely not. My house is the nicest house on the block. And, I have some ego associated with having to have it be, the highest sale in the neighborhood, or who knows, whatever reason or excuse they'll give you. But I think that's a good question to ask people, just to help figure out their motivation. So again, with that, Tracy, I'm about done unless anybody's got any questions, but I hope maybe I shared a few nuggets that helps you in, the course of your business, as we're still in the very early part of 2018. So appreciate the time and attention, guys.
No, that was great. Definitely great information. And what you touched on earlier brought me to what our subject is for our Real Estate Tuesday tomorrow, and that is having a retirement plan. So if you tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. No, I got those backwards. Sorry. 10 a.m. PST, 1 p.m. EST, you're going to hear about that too live on Facebook. So with that being said, thank you very much, Robert. And that wraps up another month of Florida's Brokers Roundtable. So tune in next month. But until then, have an amazing month, everybody. Thanks, Robert.
Thanks. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.